Hello, this is GEFerris, your narrator and videographer. I went to Arctic Bay, and you are looking at what I see out of my airplane window, the ice, which is a big part of this story. Thank you. As you can see, there's ice down there. What I was wondering as I was flying up, this is not like Greenland. This is a different kind of ice. It is multi-year ice as well as annual year ice, and it comes and goes. I was wondering, am I going to have to deal with all that ice I see down there in the view through my window right now? I'm wondering to myself as I'm looking at this, where am I going to be? Maybe I'll be in this patch of open water down here in this view right now, or hopefully not in the next view. As you can see out there, just solid ice. It looks flat with cliffs on the edge. This looks strange. Who knows? Oh, there's a lot of ice there, and then there's some open water. Boy, oh boy.
Well, it's just jumbly. There's no way to get in and around with it, you know?
I am just talking to somebody sitting next to me about the ice, trying to explain it, which is not. Here from the air on approach is Arctic Bay with Victoria Bay in the back, solidly iced in. Now we're on approach, swinging down into Nunavut, and that's what's out there. Steep cliffs, open water, icy water. Who knows? We're coming into the airport for Nunavut, an iron pyrite mine, which is just a few miles away from Arctic Bay. They have a great number of commercial flights. When I landed at Nunavut, I happened to be very lucky that a gentleman was there anyway, and so he took me down to Arctic Bay with all of my equipment, which was camping gear and my folding kayak. As soon as I got into town, Glenn Williams was kind enough to give me advice about how to handle the bears, and he gave me some 000 buck for my 12-gauge shotgun. This is what I arrived at for conditions in Arctic Bay just at the moment I arrived. However, the next day things were different. I'm standing here at 73 degrees north, 85 degrees west, at the base of Society Cliffs in Arctic Bay, Northwest Territories, Canada. I'm glad I brought my GPS. Crystal clear weather was here the day before yesterday, and now we have light rain and fog. I'm looking out toward Admiralty Inlet, which is fogged in on Adams Sound. I'm kayaking once again. The ice is moving along in the currents. The ice is something to play lots of interesting games with. You can take your choice. It's stable enough and thick enough that you can actually get out on it. This is annual ice. It's about 2 to 3 feet thick. Planning to head down this sound, Adams Sound. This constant group of ice going back and forth. It's just a big jumble, constantly in fluctuation with the tides. So to go places at this point in time in July where the ice is trying to go out, you sort of have to pick and choose before you're going to make a crossing, because you can't always just pedal across. You can see now right there is a clear area, and it's very curious out there in this particular point, the entrance to Arctic Bay, that at the change in tides for several hours there's a rip that occurs right in this area. The waves seem to be breaking to the west. It's a very interesting area.
Ice is due to leave this area in a week, and I came slightly early, knowing perfectly well that ice was probably going to be here. It's constantly rotating, going from place to place. It's a good source of drinking water. You just let some sit in a pot for a few hours and you have the pure, clear, fresh drinking water. So from here people had a good view of whales passing through. They come every year into these areas. There's also a good population of Arctic char and lots of seal. Just to show you the view from the doorway of an ancient home. This is my second day on the water. I'm going down Adams Sound to look at a waterfall. We have mixed clouds. And some ice here and there. The ice is at the head of the sound, being blown in by this incoming wind from the west.
The wind is doing about 5 knots and I'm paddling a fully loaded Klepper Aerius I. I'm actually springing the paddle. Well, Fulmar has just flown by. I always enjoy those birds.
This area is abundant with seal.
I have a following sea, as you can tell by these waves.
I wanted to record for you some of the sounds you hear when you're listening to ice on the water with a slight channel. Ice you can see slightly undercut, and the sounds are very distinctive. The sounds of it. This is much lower. This ice also has another sound, and it's quite fragmented. It's melting away very quickly. This is two fronts colliding as I'm looking eastward down Adams Sound. It looks like we're in for some feisty weather. These severely blown out clouds here. Simple little clouds that have enough wind that they're blown into this lenticular shape. Well, it looks pretty innocent this morning. Looks pretty feisty right now. You see crisscrossing fronts here. This area does get very high winds. They had a storm last week. They had gusts 70 to 80 knots with a steady 40-knot wind. This is a fast game of Beat the Berg. I just decided I think I'm going to quit this game. Because there's no sense playing games with these sharp things.
I have just gotten down here and I stopped, pulled my boat in, turned around and realized I had been followed all this time by ice that is now bunched up and is surrounding me from behind. So the safest thing I can do is just pull my boat up on the shore out away from this ice.
With these sharp things. They're nasty, and especially when they're coming right at you.
So right here the ice has just formed a little barrier behind me.
And it looks to me like the tide's given up and it's going out anyway against the way I'm going. across the way are some clouds I can't imagine ever having seen before.
I'm wondering, is this what drying out is going to be like? It sure looks suspicious. Have some ice.
Now a few minutes have passed, and this is the next cloud formation. Something I've never in all my wildest dreams imagined could be.
The water looks too flat, and I'm wondering what's going to be happening next with these very strange orographic clouds.
At the moment, I'm slightly iced in. Yesterday it was clear from here down to the farthest point you can see. But today, the ice is moving out from the upper end of Adams Sound. So today I'm standing here waiting for things to change. I have another 7 miles to go to get to the falls that I planned on going to. But with this kind of ice situation, it's hard to say if it's going to clear out within a reasonable time. However, everywhere in this area, the ice is coming and going, and it's just hard to say where it's going to be open so that I can come in and out of shoreline. It fluctuates with the winds and the tides. Some color in the ice from last year. This morning we had clear skies. It's all coming in from the west. Barometric pressure is at 10:11 at 4 o'clock, July 25th. I'm recording for you what 10 knots of wind sounds like when it's hitting ice. It's melting very rapidly. It sounds like a glass of ginger ale. It's very interesting. An hour has passed, and this is what the clouds have decided to do.
Now I'm showing you what the weather's doing on July 26th, 1994. The wind is coming in from the west, and it's increasing. I'm showing you a panoramic view from where I'm standing. You can see the ice on the opposite side, but look at how the clouds are behaving here. As you can see, they're funneling down this, and they're bottled up right here in front of the other side. This is pretty scary to look at. I'm someone who has never paddled in conditions like this before. I'm pretty worried about what this is all about. I have no way of guessing how long this weather is going to be like this. Just where this ice is, I had planned to put up my tent, but very luckily I didn't. During the night, it soundlessly piled up on the shore. I would have been crushed by that ice. Here is my boat on the edge of the shore, but my tent is set within a tent ring. And I always have the feeling tent rings are good luck. Now look at the wall of ice out there, working its way up or down. And we had snow last night. Here's my Klepper in the foreground. It's kind of unpleasant. I think I'm going to just sit here and wait for this weather to calm down. This is not a situation to try fighting. So here I am, safe on the shore, thank goodness. I just happened to pull in here, and it's an area where I can just be all right. There's water available.
Been having a couple days of the west wind. Now that I'm on my way, and I've decided, since the ice hasn't gone out, just head back west, if I can get there. However, we have a nice rainbow to head me out. I'm not going to continue east because there's a jumble of ice up that end. It did snow last night, July 27th, 1994. I've made it this far today. I am at the end of Adams Sound where it branches into Arctic Bay. But I found at the very tip that it was closed in by massive sheets of ice. And so I had to backtrack for a mile to find a place for camping. Now that same body of ice is loosening up and it's going out a bit. But it's hard to say if tomorrow I can pass beyond the final point or not. You can see how the upper air is moving. I noticed that clouds in higher elevations are also on the go today. This area seems to have very turbulent weather at this time, constantly changing. This is the end of July. 9:30 in the morning. And once again, we're drying out. We had some snow last night. This reminds me of Pond Inlet in 1989. Same situation. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, July 28th. But this is a very interesting area with ancient ruins. Well, it's been ridiculous. It's been kind of one of those days. I got stuck in the ice. I had to wait for the ice to move with the tide. And I wound up climbing up on some rocks, sitting there for a couple hours. And I tried to paddle into town, and that was impossible. Also, same old story. I was sitting here with about 10-15 knots. So, I've been dodging ice the last few days. And I'm heading for the nearest ice-free place, which happens to be where the road goes by as well, which makes it even more amusing to think that I've flown thousands of miles just to go camp by the road. I think that's a little ill. Oh well. Goes as usual, just the way it goes. And I'm moving before the ice comes and it takes me away anyway.
Okay, I've climbed up on top. Here is Johnson's Point, which I was trapped on for a while by an ice clog. And down inside, on the right side, is Somme Sound. And then along here is where I paddled, where I camped, coming out of Johnson's Point, which happened to be along a roadside over there. I didn't have any choice. Here is Arctic Bay itself. And I started out from here. On my second trip along the shoreline, I was blown along by incredibly powerful winds. It was like water skiing, only nobody was towing me. That really made me realize what Arctic Bay was all about when they described strong winds. Right now I'm camping out on the end of this point where I find the wind wraps around it. Does very interesting things. Nobody would ever guess until you camp there. You get to find out.
This is a fast-moving cloud that's coming in off Admiralty inlet. This is amazingly fast. Right now it seems like it's a very calm day, nothing very threatening, but in just moments this whole situation is developing on the point. And the rest of the horizon just has these clouds. And the wind is freshening here a little bit. And once again, look, it's moved in just a minute. It's getting larger and coming inward.
You know, I'm glad I'm right here, because if I was over there, I wouldn't be able to see where I was or where anything was, and I might get to also dry out. Boy, what a combination. Then after that, I'd probably get to be wind-bound. So who knows?
It's a very powerful updraft. Watch the whole cloud tumbling uphill. It's almost like a reverse waterfall. I am now going back up Adams Sound. It's an overcast day, but still the views are very inspiring. I'm about 10 miles in from Arctic Bay, coming in on the tide. That high peak on the left side, farthest away, I believe is where there's the waterfall that I am looking forward to going to visiting. And the settled conditions we had yesterday are giving way to new air. Just to illustrate the ice on August 2nd, 1994 in Adams Sound. Just to show you my tent site and its surroundings. And there's my Klepper Aerius I expedition kayak. Tide is coming from the right side. The wind is blowing from the left side. This is a long way from all the ice you would see if you were sitting on the edge of Victor Bay, which right now is just simply iced in. Well, I've come east to about 84 degrees, 10 minutes. And it looks to me like I've gotten down far enough so that we're back into the ice world again. And I'm going to have to put ashore and camp and wait and see when this blockage here decides to move out. I'm glad it's going out. Just have to hope for the best. I've had a following wind all afternoon. One of those onshore breeze types of winds. I've got about 15 miles down here. And I've seen nothing but glaucous gulls. I was hoping to find some ivories down here somewhere. Now that I've gotten quite a few miles into this sound, Adams Sound. It's 10:45 tonight, August 3rd. We had a very nice fair weather day today. And these are the clouds tonight. It's now quieted down very much. We had a 15-knot wind out of the west all day, which really was cold air coming down this sound. I had an easy day. I didn't have to do anything except keep the boat going straight. Unless it's an overcast day, it's pretty bright, even at midnight. Looking at this piece of ice, if you're in Greenland, you would automatically assume it would have to be glacial. But in this instance, we're not in an area where there are icebergs. This is a multi-year piece of ice that is grounded temporarily. And what gives that away about it is that if you look at it closely, you'll see it has everything is horizontally oriented on it. There's nothing to show that it has changed its center of gravity at any time. Being laid out horizontally as this ice in the foreground, it's just built up from year to year. It's completely horizontally oriented. What started out as a fairly innocent paddle turned out to be a raucous battle with this wind that's coming in. We had maybe 20 knots here and there. Up there are clouds that show that there's a lot of wind. I found this little place of refuge here, tucked between the rock faces. It's 1 o'clock in the morning on August 7th. And I have quite a few more miles to go with this kind of stuff, so I've decided to just quit. It's August 9th, and just to show you my last evening's weather conditions, why I'm leaving here early, because it's just incredible winds all over this place. And it's piping up. Yeah, tonight it's doing about 35 knots. Here on the end of the bay it's probably doing 40. I came from, that was Holy Cross Point. This is Holy Cross Point over here. I've been around, down. The seals like to go on the opposite side of that because seals go there and whales like to slap their tails on the rocks there, according to legend. I paddled down this bay called Adams Sound. And these are the conditions for this evening. The wind makes paddling very demanding, so strenuous and extreme that at one point I got behind that peak over there, the little one that's sticking up in the center of the screen, and was blown totally backward. I had to turn around and seek a campsite. It was impossible for me to continue. And the wind that day here ranged 40 to 60 knots here in town.